Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Gananam Tva Ganapati Gum Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatha Anashunvannoti Visida Sadhanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Virvajinivati Dinama Mitrayavato Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalar Spatikhatrudhim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Upasmahe Yasyat Varada Vakradhyaya Parishatya Parashatham Vignam Nignam Tisatatam Vishwashremam Tamashraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Sarvalokanam Visaje Bhavaroginaha Nidaye Sarva Vidyanam Sri Dakshinamurthaye Namaha Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtyam Tvandvatitam Gaganazadrisham Tattvamasyadi Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadik Shakshibhutam Bhavanityam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Sai Ishwararpanamastu. Nastika. Sai Ram, good afternoon, namaskar, and welcome to join me yet on another journey as we navigate through another year that has been bestowed upon us, 2021. So last year we looked at Bhajagovindam, we looked at Bhagavad Gita, we looked at karma, and all these three have got many connections. There are many connotations of similarity that sort of weave their way in between these different works, right? One was a messenger of God, Bhajagovindam, Adi Shankaracharya. One was God himself as man, talking to man in the battlefield. In that battle we go through in our day-to-day lives, as I expounded through the 11 weeks of Bhagavad Gita with yourselves. And then karma is basically how you should live. You know, what are the rules that will dictate the way you think, the way you speak, the way you act. So all these becomes completely relevant when we address the Ramayana in a few weeks' time. So what I'm doing today, the concept of duty, the concept of devotion, you know, just like I did karma before I started Bhagavad Gita, because of the significant relevance between karma and the Gita, the same thing I'm doing now before I start you on the Ramayana. So we're looking at duty today, devotion today, and there are lots of misnomers or misunderstanding about the concept of duty and the concept of devotion, to say the least. Next week, I'll be looking at dharma, and I'll be drawing the distinction between dharma and what we did today, or what we're going to do today, in terms of duty, because many people think duty is dharma. Anyway, come back to that. And then the third, in terms of preparation, is something called faith, shraddha, or fear, bhaya. What is the link or the relevance between duty, devotion, dharma, faith, fear, that you will see cropping up through the various khandas or chapters or cantos of the Ramayana when we subsequently look at the Ramayana in a few weeks' time. So it's good if you can join me for these 3 weeks, and then you are aptly prepared to enter into another inner journey into the essence of Ramayana, right? So talking about duty, talking about devotion. The first thing we need to think about or ask ourselves is, do we have a clear idea about these two phrases? I mean, I have no doubt at all that many, many, many people out there use these words on a daily basis, or indeed very regularly or very often. That's not an issue. However, do we appreciate the true significance of these words in terms of how they impact us in our day-to-day life, number one, and number two, how they develop or evolve us spiritually? Do we actually appreciate the true significance of these two words? Duty, devotion, right? You see, if I ask for a Sanskrit equivalent, many people will say, duty is dharma, devotion is bhakti. Well, that's not entirely correct, as you will see, as we go deeper into the topic. Are we just treating them as mere words, right? So let's see. What's duty and what is devotion, right? So what is the modern explanation or definition of these two words? If you look at the Oxford Dictionary, right, what does it define duty as? I will also look at the word devotion from an Oxford Dictionary perspective, right? Well, if you look at the dictionary, it says duty is the binding or obligatory force of something that is morally or legally right. A moral or legal obligation, an action, a task required by people who do various things, whether it's work or whether it's anything that they do, right? A chore, a task, that's duty, right? What is devotion? Piety, act of prayer, act of worship, religious exercise, religious practice. Devotion could mean, from a non-spiritual perspective also, it has meaning, right? I am devoted to my work. I am devoted to my children, right? I have enormous devotion to the book that I'm presently writing. So, devotion can carry many different meanings. Or devotion could be the fact or state of being ardently in a state of loyalty or faithfulness. I'm devoted to my political party, for example, right? So devotion can have many meanings like that. This is purely from a dictionary perspective. But if we take off the dictionary and bring it into a spiritual wing, right, then how are we looking at it? If we bring it into the spiritual context, then how are we looking at these two words? So duty, a lot of people say, duty is dharma, but devotion is bhakti. No. It's not the same. It's not the same, because dharma means right conduct, righteousness. Hence we have sanatana dharma, eternal righteousness, that which is only and always and constantly right. That is dharma. So we can't say that is your duty. Your duty is to exercise your duty in a dharmic way. That's different from saying duty is dharma. There are two ways in which you can do your job, right? Do it well or do it not so well. Do it legally or do it illegally. Like that, dharma means it doesn't give you an option. This is the only way, and this is the right way. So remember what I said in my 3 weeks of karma lectures, going back in August or with September. I said to you, sometimes duty is basically karma, because anything that you think, every act of yours is karma. Therefore, your duties can be aptly described as karma, karmic actions. Do them well, or you don't do them well. So do them well, good actions, good karma. Bad actions, bad karma. Right? So what can amount to a karmic act? Anything that you do consciously. Your thoughts, yes, good thoughts, good karma, bad thoughts, bad karma. Your words, good karma, bad words, bad karma. Your actions, your feelings, your emotions, good karma, bad karma. So duty is more akin to karma than it is to dharma. But you can accumulate good karma if you infuse your duty with dharma. I hope that is clear, right? Whereas devotion is bhakti, intense love without a sense of attachment. Finish. Very easy, easier to understand devotion than it is to understand duty because of the misconception with, or the misrelation with dharma. Right? Dharma is righteousness, right conduct. So duty is completely different from that. But whether you choose your duty dharmically or adharmically, that is your choice. That is the choice you make in terms of discharging your responsibility. Right? That is why they are all connected. Because some will ask, oh, why did Lakshmana do that? Why did Rama do this instead of that? Why did he listen to the washerman? So now when you understand what is your duty, because you must understand one thing, that Rama, when I subsequently address, but just to give you an insight about how these things relate to each other. Rama was a king. He was not just Sita's husband. Understand that. He was also the brother to his brothers. He was also a son, not just to his mother. He was also a son to the other two mothers. He was a friend. So he had a dharma in terms of exercising or discharging his duties as a king, as a brother, as a friend, as a son, and as a husband. Now, you must understand that when you do something in one capacity, it is not going to make people in the other happy, because you are not discharging that role in that capacity which relates to them. So some things that Rama has done in the capacity of a king, from a dharmic perspective, seemed adharmic as far as, for example, Lakshmana is concerned, or Bharata is concerned, or in fact where Sita is concerned. How could he ask his wife to do that test or walk into the fire? You must understand, we are talking about dharma now. So you must move away from this concept of Rama was the husband. No, Rama was the husband, yes, friend, king, brother, son, all of that. Leader. So sometimes when we do some things, it will make somebody happy. It will make others unhappy. That is a fact which we accept today, in today's life. Why can't we accept that it existed back then even? Right? So Dharma I'll be looking at next week in more detail. Today we look at duty and devotion. So some people think, they're not mutually exclusive, by the way, right? Duty and devotion are not mutually exclusive. Because some people will think that, they will only do their best when they are completely focused on the results. And only the results, right? They think, I have to be 100% committed to the results. Only when I see the prize or the reward, I can give my full support. Devotion, that is for the evenings, for the weekends, I don't have to worry about it when I'm doing my duty. What is some duty is devotion. Work is worship. Duty is devotion, work is worship, Swami has said. So there is a question of how much devotion we should put in our duty, and how much of dharma we should put in our duty. Whereas we can say maybe your duties, you should be maybe 30% more devoted, right? Just for argument's sake, I'm saying. Can we give a percentage of dharma? No, dharma is 100%. It's a single unit. It is indivisible. Either you act dharmically or you don't. Whereas people can say, all this ritualistic worship, right? Maybe I'm 20% interested, 80%. I'm more interested in books and things like that. So devotion can be devised or divisionalized, if you like. But dharma is single unit. So either you do something because it's the right thing to do, or you don't do something and then you accrue the bad karma because you didn't do the right thing. It is so clear cut. It is mathematically precise. I'm telling you these concepts. Mathematically precise. You never question when your teachers taught you 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. These concepts go further than just telling you that, this is what it means. So most of us are like that. Society, the modern society, right? It has indoctrinated us so much to think along these terms. Many of the things we do, we always attach something, isn't it? I do this because of that. I do this because of this person or because I want that. So it brings us joy, at least until we set the next goal. Then we go and chase something else. Then when we get that, we chase something else. Stop for a moment and think. The last 15 years of your life, perhaps. What are the things that you have said you wanted to get, you have got, and then you moved on another thing, and then you moved on another thing, and then moved. Or in the last 15 years, have you had no desires of getting anything in your life? Surely most will relate to the former rather than the latter. Right? So this hopping around, inevitably, this sequence of hopping around from one benchmark to another benchmark, definitely we will come across hurdles, obstacles, challenges in the way to wanting this. What did I say during Bhaja Govindam? Desires. Desire your desires. Cull it. Cull it so that you can cultivate something else. Simple. Because so long, this also I said during Bhaja Govindam, also I said during Gita, so long as you have expectations, you will have disappointments. Simple. Swami also said that. Expectation, disappointment. Because you don't control the outcome. What did I say in the Gita? Forget that you are the doer. Lord himself is saying that. Why do you think you are the doer? So duty and devotion, just like success and failure, goes together in hand. They go hand in hand. But I really don't understand, brother. You say do your duty, don't get attached to the results. How? How can we do our best when we're not focused on the results? Focusing on the results is what will push us. It is what will motivate us. It is what will incentivize us. Well, at this juncture, I'd like to remind you what I said in my Gita, basically chapter 2, verse 47. If you remember, right? Maybe once I recite the sloka, you might remember. Karmanyeva adhikarasthe ma phalesu kadachana ma karma pala hetirphur ma te sango swakarmani. Krishna himself has said, hey, you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but, right? Karmanyeva adhikaraste, you have the right to become. Ma phalesu kadachana. Do not think you are entitled to the fruits of those actions. Why? Ma karma phala heturbhur. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your actions or your activities. Why? Because you shouldn't be attached to them. Mate sangotsva karmanihi. You don't be attached to the action. Right? Do. Don't expect. Give. Don't expect. Love. Don't expect. Speak lovingly. Don't expect to be spoken to lovingly, because what you give ultimately comes back to you. That is the dharma. Right can only produce right. Wrong will only produce wrong. That is dharma, dharmic law. Eternal righteousness. Satyam vada dharmam chara. So said Rig Veda. Eternal truths. Right? So there's a lot of contradiction, right? How to do the duty without looking at why we are doing it or what we're going to get as a result of doing it. What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to be lackadaisical about the outcome, or are we supposed not to think about it? What will keep you motivated if you have this mindset of I just do? If you don't care about the results, how can you possibly care about the efforts to put into the duty? Because you're thinking, oh, if people fail to recognize the splendor of my duty, the splendor of my work, the diligence of my efforts, then surely I must feel justified in feeling wronged. How can you fully dedicate ourselves to the work if we cannot divert some attention to the fruits of the action? So this line of logic, that you shouldn't be attached to the fruits of your action, it seems irrefutable. Okay, now let me put it the other way around to you, right? Now, other side of the coin. Let's look at it. If you change your perception, now try this. Only attach yourself to the results of everything you do, right? Because a lot of people are trying to do something and not attach themselves to the results, and they are saying, it's very difficult, brother. So now I'm telling you, forget about that. Now you attach yourself and only attach yourself to the results. Let's see what happens. 1 week you do this and see. Let's see how much you are affected in terms of your peace of mind, your satisfaction, and your sense of accomplishment. Because all of that, your peace of mind, your satisfaction, your sense of accomplishment, all of these things is related to how other people perceive you and perceive your work, perceive your duty, perceive your responsibility. And you are looking for approval. You are looking for recognition. You are looking for reward. You are looking for award. You are looking for praise. You are looking for gratitude. And then when that does not come, it is not forthcoming, you are thinking, why X didn't say this, or why didn't say that, or why did Z say this instead? Maybe they didn't have time to look at it or appreciate it. Maybe they didn't like the outcome. It was not as per their, belief, expectation. Maybe I did not meet their expectations. Maybe they're not interested in what I'm doing. Perhaps they didn't like my presentation. Perhaps they liked someone else to present. Perhaps, maybe, could it be? So your entire peace of mind, your entire sense of satisfaction, your entire sense of accomplishment, if you attach yourself to the results, will be like this. So you need to decide which is easier. Just do the duty and try not to get attached to the results, or do the duty being attached. Which is more beneficial to you? Obviously, the former, right? Therefore, it's rather nonsensical to attach our own joy, our own happiness, our own peace of mind to other people's perception or reaction. That's the point, right? So do your duty and make sure you get a sense of peace, get a sense of accomplishment, get a sense of satisfaction. I've done my best. So I really cannot do anything more than this. And that is what the Gita says. The Gita Sarati, the chariot that is the Gita, which we all should be on, very easily said. Do your duty to the best of your ability. Do not worry about the results. Once somebody went to Ramana Maharishi, he said, I really got a problem, Gurudev. Ramana Maharishi said, oh, what's your problem? He said, I've done this, I've done that, this is the problem. I'm just telling you very, in a brief form. He said, this is the problem. I've done this, I've done that. Ramana Maharishi only asked him one thing. Have you done your best? Have you done all that you could have done under the circumstances? Or is there more that you could have done, which you have not done? I said, I'm thinking, but there's nothing more that I could have done. Then leave it. You've done your best, right? Leave it. If you have done your best, God will do the rest. Finish. And that's the same message. And you must overcome the old refrain to fully appreciate this fundamental doctrine of Gita. That means if I don't worry about the results, how will I do my best? No. Move away from that thought. Think what Ramana Maharishi said. Have you done your best? Is there anything else, anything more that you could have done, which you have not done? Yes to the first one and no to the second one. Finish. Leave it. You see this in movies, right? Especially the Indian movies, right? Some big accident or some big mishap, and then the patient is rushed into the hospital, and then you'll see the doctors operating on this patient for hours, and then they'll come out and they'll say, I've done my best now, pray. So in whose hands is the result? You're the cardiologist, you just worked on me. You could have saved me. You should have saved me. But you come out and tell my family, I have done my best. Now you pray to God. There you go. What better example I can give you? So your work, your duty is only your responsibility. Do it to the best of your ability, because that is the dharma that you should attach to your duty. So now you can see duty is not dharma. Duty should become dharmic in the way in which it is discharged. Right? Then we're getting somewhere. So you should ask yourself, have I always done my best? Have I always discharged my duty to the best of my ability, whether it is at work, whether it is at school, whether it is at university, whether it is talking to a friend, whether it is listening to a problem that a friend is talking to you about, whether it is anything that I am doing, have I done it to the best of my ability? This is superb mind management, right? If we are so conscious about this, right, that doing our duty righteously, right conduct, can you imagine everything that we think, everything that we speak, everything that we do will be perfect? And if every time we are thinking, speaking, and doing things in the right way, righteously, right conduct, then how can we accumulate bad karma? But it's not happening, isn't it? You know why? Because we attach ourselves to the fruits of the action. When something good that we have done comes up, we want the whole world to know about it. So we are saying, I have done this. That result? It's only because of me. Always credit to him, because he has empowered you to do it. Right? If you don't have money and I give you money to do what you want to do, who is more powerful? You, who has gone and bought something that you want to do, but you couldn't buy because you didn't have the money, or me that has given you the money? You can decide. So how can you say, I am the one who done this? You should be saying, if he didn't give me this, I would not have been able to do all of this. So, anyada sharanam nasti. Everything goes to him. Isn't it? At a very basic logical level, if you think, does it not make sense for us to give every thanks possible to him that has empowered us? A spiritual analogy, let me give you going forward. You can say, God, I am an imperfect being. I have done everything to the best of my ability, according to your injunctions, according to your guidance, according to your directions. I dedicate this to you. Accept it. And whatever comes of it, I will accept as your anugraha, your divine giving, your grace. Remember what Krishna told Arjuna, Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Surrender to me and to me only, and I will look after your Yogeshema. I will look after your needs. Why do you worry then? God, in the form of man, telling another man what he should do in order to get uninterrupted grace. Mamekam Sharanam Raja, Arjuna. Same thing, all of us are Arjunas. God is talking to us in many ways, right? So the key is to do our best. Simple. Duty is doing your best. That is an obligation. That obligation is dharma. Understand? You have a duty. Do your duty to the best of your ability. Doing it to the best of your ability is a dharmic call, not anything else. They are not paying me the market rate. Why should I do it as better as, I would do it better if I was getting 100K. This is only 70K, so I'll do it at 70K level. No. When they are paying you 70K, you should do it at 140K level. Because your employer is going to give you 70K. What about the other 70K that I've done? That the universe will give you. Just try it. Try it. Always give beyond what is expected of you. 100% you will get back more than what you have or what you deserve. 100%. Right? Because we always do things in the way that it has been taught to us or has been expected of us, isn't it? For example, your spiritual teacher or your guru will teach you the difference between good and evil, positive and negative, if you like. Your parents have taught you the difference between respect and abuse or disrespect. Your teachers in schools have taught you the difference between right and wrong. Your friends have taught you between exercising a choice, doing this or doing that. So everybody has taught us something in different capacities, and that is what we are used to, we are accustomed to. So we try to deliver to that expectation. And what did I say about expectation? When other people expect, they get disappointed. When we expect, we also get disappointed. And this is across life, huh? Whether the task is whether you're flying a plane as a pilot, whether you're raising a child as a parent, whether you're washing a dishes, whether you're selling popcorn, this is something that someone else has deemed fit for us to do in the manner in which we should do it. So we are in that mindset, in that mold. What I'm saying is break that mold and say, whatever is it that I'm going to do. Resolve today, my dear friends, resolve today to say, whatever I'm going to do going forward, I'll just do my best and leave the rest to go. Simple thing I'll give you, right? You sing a bhajan in a bhajan. Your task is to offer that bhajan to God, whoever that God you perceive. Because God comes in many forms. So whichever song whether you sing to Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, anyone. That's it. Surrender it to him and finish. No. When you finish singing, you'll go and ask, hey, how my bhajan? Okay, good. Okay, if you ask 10 people, maybe 7 will say, okay, brother, it was good. Always same standard. Other 2 or 3 will say, I think you should not sing for some time, brother. That is the people you ask. The people you don't ask will make up their own mind, but that won't affect you because you don't know anyway. You see, so do your duty to the best of your ability and leave it. Because what man thinks is unimportant, what he deems at the end of the day is significant, right? And that's your obligation. Do your best. And if you want to spiritually evolve, then the devotional process actually dictates that you should accept religious principles of surrender, for example, faith, shraddha, tyaga. That is what will ultimately lead you to the Lord. Not question the very concepts that becomes, the raft that will take you across the ocean. The best of ships can sink. So why do you question whether a raft is fit for a journey? That's as good. So the trick is to perform the duty to the best of your ability without actually being bound or attached to the fruits. Ma karma pala heturbhu, ma karma sangatsva karmani. Very, very easy, very, very simple. And what does Swami say? Swami also says, what? Duty without love is deplorable. So this is where the devotion comes into the duty. Duty without love is deplorable. So start exercising or discharging your duties with a bit of love to start with. A bit. Then you add a bit. It's like eating salt in your cooking. If you're not used to salt at all, fine. But the moment you put a bit of salt, if you're not used to salt, you'll taste it. You can see the difference. Like that, if you have been doing your duty without love, just add a little bit of love. Other people will taste and see the difference in the way in which you're discharging your duty. Simple. Right? Duty with love is desirable. Hence my suggestion. And of course, love without duty is divine. Hence we have that caption, unconditional love. Unconditional love. Why must there be a condition? Just because you're my wife, just because I'm your husband, just because, we have a relationship, my son, my daughter, my best friend, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, that is conditional love. Difficult, not impossible. So move from the thought of this is difficult to the thought of this is possible. Then your duty becomes easy. Right? Yeah, true. I accept the fact that this is a difficult act to balance. But see the divine assurance. See the divine assurance that has been given already. And Krishna has said this, isn't it? Has Krishna not said this? Yeah. He has said to you, just be dharmic. Whenever adharma comes, I will come, I will incarnate. Tatatmajam siddham yaham. At that point in time, I will incarnate. Why? To ensure that dharma is met. Very simple. All you have to do is attach devotion in everything that you do, your duty. So now you can see when you attach devotion to your duty, how dharma becomes relevant. Ananyas chintayanto ma yejana paryupashathe tesa nithyavi yukthanam yoga kshemam vaham yaham. Krishna, Gita chapter 9. He says, those who worship me with devotion, just thinking about me in my transcendental form, I carry them. Tesa nityabi yukthanam, those who think of me in that way, yoga kshemam vaham yaham, I will carry you and preserve you and give you what you need. There you go. What else you need? What better assurance can any living man give you? Every employee is indispensable. No, dispensable. So the boss who has given you a job and has given you his word that you will never be fired can fire you at any time. But when God has given you the word that I will be there, that's eternal. So this is, I'll come back to this, right? Ananyas chintayantoma. So Ananya Bhakti. What is Ananya Bhakti? We'll look at this a bit more deeper. But the real question is it possible to develop neutrality towards the world and at the same time move away from attachment to the world? That's why I say be neutral to the world, but be attached to God. But brother, that is still being attached to God. That is still a form of attachment, isn't it? Yes, but without expectation. Finish. So many can ask, so what's the right perspective on duty and devotion here? And again, so we come back to Ananya Bhakti, right? But before I talk about Bhakti, I must tell you that a lot of people think Bhakti is devotion, right? But they don't know there are so many classifications of Bhakti, right? If you look at, the Vamana Purana, the Varaha Purana, the Garuda Purana, all these, they talk about different types of devotion, different levels of devotion. You have Apara Bhakti and Para Bhakti, lower and higher levels of Bhakti. You have Ragatmika Bhakti and Vidhi Bhakti. Sakhamya Bhakti, Nishkamya Bhakti. Vyabhicharani Bhakti, Avyabhicharani Bhakti. Mukhya Bhakti, Guna Bhakti. Sattvika Bhakti, Rajasic Bhakti, Tamasic Bhakti. So many different types, all these different types. Oh my God, what am I going to do? So let me tell you about each one of this. So you get an idea of what they are. So if you come across them, you come across this terminology in your readings or, when other people are talking and you hear this, and at least you know what they mean, right? Apara Bhakti, Sadguna Bhakti, lower levels of Bhakti. So you have a statue of Krishna and you daily you ring the bell, you show up, what do you call that, incense sticks, and you show some karpur, and you take vibhuti. That is Apara Bhakti, lower levels of Bhakti, where you are just, doing some basic ritualistic things. So you're a neophyte, you're new to the thing, you're a beginner, right? It's all novel to you, right? And you don't like to do anything else. And you sort of, levitate at that level of Bhakti. Para Bhakti is a higher level. Can someone go straight into Para Bhakti? Yeah. Can. But if you cannot, then try Apara Bhakti first and then slowly evolve. Para Bhakti is Nitguna Bhakti. Apara bhakti is Sadguna bhakti. Para bhakti is Nirguna bhakti, which is free from the gunas or free from, what we call idol worships. Spontaneous, unbroken flow of pure love towards God. Simple. It is haituki. That means it's free from any sort of motive. You know motive about what, there is no motive about what you're doing, why you're doing it, to whom you're doing it. And it's avyavahita. Avyavahita. That means it's unmeditated or unplanned devotion. Avyavahita. This is parabhakti, higher levels. These type of devotees who do this, right? And many people, like Namadev, Tukaram, Ramadas, Tulsidas, they all were in the parabhakti level. They do not even want Kaivalya Mukti. Kaivalya Mukti is, absolute independence from this cycle of birth and death. Because they are so into that and they love what they are doing. It's parabhakti. What is Ragatmika Bhakti? Yeah, what can I say? There are no shackles, fetters, barriers, or customary requirements. There is no binding call of any sort. An absolutely free flow of what you want to do. And you are not worried about public opinion, what X thinks, what Y thinks. You are above criticism, like a child. 2-year-old, 3-year-old looking at the father or mother and without expectation, that relationship pours forth exuberantly is love towards God. Just like that 2-year or 3-year-old child shows the parent shows the child. That is Ragatmika Bhakti. Correct. Then Vidhi Bhakti. Vidhi is where the devotees observe certain rules, certain Vidhi. Vidhi means injunctions, right? Rules, ceremonies, and they have certain restrictions in the way in which they deliver, they do things, right? Simple-hearted Gopikas, Gopikavasis, of Vrindavan. They all had, Ragatmika Bhakti. Just like, how the cowherds go when they hear the flute, how the cows go when they hear the flute, right? If you read about the history of Vrindavan and if you read, Vishnu Purana, it tells you that every time the activity of milking cows are happening, the flute is played. And they've actually tried and tested this, right? Sometimes they don't play the flute whilst they are milking and they don't get enough supply. But when they play the flute, all the cows give maximum, in fact, more than maximum. So this is the type of, Vidhi Bhakti. To do X, you have to do Y and Z, like that. Anyway, Meera, if you know Meera, right? She falls under this category. When she goes into something, she has certain things that she does. She never comes out of it. When she goes into a kirtan, she's into it. She doesn't come out of it. She was a queen, but she did things in a very, very casual way because that was the depth of devotion, the way she sings, the way she calls out. Can anyone understand that sort of spiritual intoxication? That's a type of, Ragatmika Bhakti, which has got some Vidhi Bhakti. Vidhi Bhakti and Ragatmika sort of go in hand, right? Then you have Sakamya Bhakti. What is Sakamya Bhakti? Well, I want my son to get a good bride. I want my daughter to get a good groom. So I have to do Lakshmi Puja for 7 weeks. And that is Sakamya Bhakti. Because, you are doing something because you want something to be removed or something to be granted. Removal of badness, bad luck, bad eyes, suffering, all of that, disease, and granting of wealth. Right? So that is a type of Sakamya Bhakti. Then, of course, you have to develop. If you have Sakamya Bhakti, it's okay. You can start with that, but soon, develop yourself from Sakamya to Nishkamya. Nishkamya means not selfless. It's not selfish. It has to be selfless. Prahlada is an example of Nishkamya Bhakti. Nishkamya Bhakti. That means no selfish thoughts, completely selfless. Again, if you look, there's another story that attached to a son of a king called Uttanapada, he had a son called Dhruva, right? He was the son to the Queen Suniti and King Uttanapada. And then, the queen passed on, and then the king remarried. He had another wife called Suruchi and another son called Uttama. One day Dhruva was sitting on his father's lap and his stepmother was there. And then Uttama came and he asked Dhruva to move out. And he sat on the father's lap. The boy questioned his stepmother why he had no right to sit on the father's lap. And he questioned his own father, why can I not sit on your lap? Why is Uttama being given the importance here? Of course, they could not answer. So what Dhruva did, he said, this is not right. Therefore, it's not a place for me. I'm leaving. So he went to the nearby forest and started to meditate. Right? His meditation was so intense. Like I said, Ragatmika Bhakti, right? He's just crying out to the Lord. Just like Shabari called and Rama soon appeared. Right? Just like Ahalya waited until the feet of the divine Lord touched her and she became Ahalya back. My God. Vishnu heard the boy's cry and he sent Narada. He said, Narada, go and help him. So Narada went in the form, of course, disguised. See, God never comes to you directly because you won't be able to take it. The idea of God coming down is to help you. If he came in his full glamour on Garuda, is coming like that. I am Vishnu with the Changa Chakra Gadadhari. Finish you. You leave your life and go. So he'll come like someone you know, someone you haven't seen for a long time, some stranger, some third party, what works in mysterious ways. So Narada went and told him, you should meditate like this. And he meditated for some time. He started to sing and all that. And after some time, Vishnu appeared before him and said, your devotion at such a young age is unparalleled. Therefore, I grant you for whatever you want in your life. And Dhruva said, I want to be a star in the galaxy that never loses its brightness. And the Lord said, Tatastu. Right? Now, when he passed on, Dhruva became Dhruva Nakshatra. His star was constellation called Dhruva. And this is very much part and parcel of the Indian wedding ceremony. Basically in South India, the Tamils do this, right? So one part of the wedding ceremony is they'll ask you to, you step on a little thing and then they put the mitti for you and then they'll show you. The groom will show up in the star. That is Dhruva Nakshatra. Showing you that in our marriage, we should always be shining like this light, bright light. I should be shining my bright light on you. You should be shining my bright light. And the gaze that we have, like we have with the star, is the gaze that you and I should have for our lifetime of marriage. So you see, this is Nishkamya Bhakti. Prahlada had that. Dhruva, they got that after going through some penance. Vyabhicharani is Vyabhara. That means, it's like a business. So you want something, you go and pray, you do certain things. I want good wife, good children, good property, all of that. That is Vyabhicharani Bhakti. Then the opposite, Avyabhicharani Bhakti, is where you're only wanting God and nothing else. Mukhya Bhakti is where Bhakti plays a predominant role in your day-to-day life. You can question which one really applies to you, right? Then Guna Bhakti is secondary, not so important. Because your life, your living is already in the dharmic path. So whether or not you're devoted or not devoted is different. Because you don't need that, you're already living that. My life is my message, said he. So like that. Then of course we have the three types of bhakti, right? Sattvic Bhakti, Rajasic Bhakti, and Tamasic Bhakti. Right? Sattvic Bhakti is the quality of Sattva Guna, chapter 16 of Gita, if you remember. That is what dominates in the Bhakta, Sattvic qualities. Rajasic Bhakti, the quality of Rajas predominates in the devotee. And of course, Tamasic is that quality, that Guna, that character. Arrogance, jealousy, malice, inactiveness, all of that will. Then, of course, you have like sages, rishis will have this something called samarasa bhakti. Sama means equal, rasa means taste or depth. So the depth of bhakti is equal. You see God in everything, you see everything in God. There is no difference between, like initially, you people always used to ask me when I say I'm a Baba devotee, straight away they'll ask you, are you Satya Sai or Shirdi Sai? I said, does it make a difference? No, no, no. Satya Sai is different, Shirdi Sai is different. That's why when Swami came, he said, I am Shirdi, I am Satya, I will also be Prema. He knows people will question this. Right? So, Samarasa Bhakti is where you don't distinguish. My God, Krishna said so much wonderful thing he can do to evolve your own spiritual depth. Jesus has said that as well. My God, fantastic. Muhammad has said that as well, the Quran. And that is Samarasa Bhakti. Right? So let's come back to Ananya Bhakti. Ananyas Chintayantom Ananya Bhakti. What is that? Like gold. Gold in its raw form, nobody will like. But gold made into a ring, gold made into a bracelet, gold made into a bangle, gold made into a chain, gold made into a necklace, gold made into a earring, gold made into a nose ring, they have different types of value, isn't it? But the underlying substance is gold, the base metal. So Ananya Bhakti is that base, is what you need. How that base develops is completely different. That is Ananya Bhakti. So in everything you do, in anything you do, in everyone you meet, in anyone you meet, if you see me, then that is Ananya Bhakti. Right? If you see me, that is Ananya Bhakti. Okay, but then there are different types of bhaktas, isn't it? Yeah. Krishna has already addressed this. And I spoke about this when I spoke about chapter 7. Chatutvidha bhajante mam janat sukrithuno arjunaha artho jignasur arthathi jnani cha bharathat sabha jnani cha bharathat sabha. That means the 4 types. Right? 4 types. Jana sukritino Arjuna, there are 4 types of, Jana means people. 4 types of bhaktas in all people. Artho, Jignasur, Artharthi, and Jnani. 4 types, he says. Who are they? The distressed, the seeker of knowledge, the selfish, the ones who go for, materialistic acquisitions, and of course the wise, Jnani. Then Arjuna asks, I don't know if you remember when I did chapter 7, which one is the best? You say, well, Jnani is the best, but one who is only devoted, Mamekam Sharanam Rajaha, this is where it comes up. He is the best. Devotion of the wise is pure and absolutely unselfish when there is no personal agenda. Parabhakti, primary devotion, right? So all this is telling you one thing, right? When you give exclusivity to God, God will, give you the same. He will respond with the same exclusivity. That is why you say, Anyada sharanam nasti tvameva sharanam mamaha. I have no one else but you to surrender to. Tasmat karunya, as a result of that, karunya, give me the karuna. Why? Raksha raksha. Saishwaraha. Raksha raksha. Maheshwaraha. Raksha raksha. Narayanaha. So you can put whoever you want that you think is going to give you that raksha. Right? So for us, it's going raksha raksha saishwaraha. One day, somebody went to Rishi Ekanath, and said, Maharaj, I'm trying very hard, but my mind somewhat doesn't seem to go to God. Every time I try and, it just goes everywhere. I can't seem to focus on God. So Rishi looked at him and he said, you're going to die in 7 days, right? He said, oh my God, what do I do? Okay, go back, sort out all your matters, and come back to me on the 7th day. I'll tell you what to do. So the man went, and then Everything in that in that period, now he's thinking, my God, I'm going to go in 7 days. Everything that seemed significant, everything that seemed important to him now was completely irrelevant. Didn't make any sense, was not important, was not significant. All became so superficial. Whether his neighbor buys a new car, his relative bought a new house, all that became, somebody's son is doing better than his, all that became irrelevant. So he did a few things, and then on the seventh day, he came to the Rishi and he said, like you said, I have tried to sort out whatever I can, and this is the seventh day. You asked me to come to you on the seventh day. So here I am. What do I do? So he said, you go and sit under the tree for a while. So this fellow went and sat. And the Rishi said, I don't want you to think about anything. I do not want you to think about anything. After 2 hours, come back. So after 2 hours, the man came back and the Rishi said, could you think about God? He said, yes, that 2 hours I was only thinking about him. He said, why you were thinking about him? I told you not to think about anything. Because I thought of nothing that I could only think of God as. There you go. So the Rishi said, when you know you are going to go and that uncertainty is the only certain thing that you are aware of, then you can think of God. But when you think that that moment is too far away, is too remote to be a distinct possibility, then you will think about everything else and forget him. Mam ekam sharanam brajaha does not happen then. But when you know, oh my God, I'm going to go, this is my last moments. So Rishi said to him, this is the way forward. Think today is your last day and you will only think of God. But the moment you move away from that thought, you'll think about everything else except God. Art of living. Build your devotion gradually, But this body, right? Everybody has an issue with the body, because whether you're looking at duty or devotion, everything relates to the body that you are carrying, right? And there is no doubt. We have so many references that say, Deho, Devalaya. I said to you when I did Gita, the body is the temple of God. So use your body wisely to discharge your duty and your devotion. What did Krishna tell Arjuna? I said, the body should not be used for fleeting pleasures. Gita says, Anithyam asukham lokam idam prapya bhajasvamam. Having taken birth as a human person, right? Worship the Lord. Do not use the body for impermanent and sorrowful consequences. Move away. I mean, Shankara said that, isn't it? Beautifully, when I'm going back to Bhaja Govindam now, last March or April, can't remember. Shankara. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. Tatva jivita atishaya javalam. Vidhi vyadi abhimanagrastham lokam shokam hatam cha samastham. Verse 4. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. Life is as unsteady as the raindrops trembling on the lotus leaf. So you must understand. Tatvat jivitamasiya javalam. That's life is like that. It's so uncertain. Iddhi, vyadi, abhimanagrastam. All this will come. Disease, pride, grief. Lokam, shokam, hatam cha samastam. Right? If you want happiness, you must be prepared to receive unhappiness. So he says, rather than looking for happiness, give happiness. Because then he also says in verse 11, Ma kuru dhana gana yavvana gharvam harati nimesha khalat sarvam mayam idam akilam hritva brahma padam tvam parishaviditva. Beautiful. Do not focus on wealth, on friends, on pride, on youth, because harati nimesha kalat sarvam. In 1 minute, this can all be wiped off of your life. Rags to riches, riches to rags, that kind of thing. Time takes away all of this in the blink of an eye. What you can do is free yourself from the illusion of the world of Maya. Maya, Maya, midamatikam. Brahma padam tvam. Look for the feet of the holy, of your Ishtadeva. But then there are so many forms. What do? Devotion is difficult when you have so many forms. Okay. Don't worship the form, worship the feet. Worship the feet. That is the concept of, Pada Sevanam. We all have Swami's feet. Most of us have Swami's feet in our house. Don't, if you have his feet, you don't need any of his pictures. Because what does the Rig Veda say? He said, Pada Darshanam Papanashanam. Pada Darshanam Papanashanam. The moment you have the vision of the feet, your entire sins are destroyed. So when you do Paduka Puja, when you do Paduka Abhishekam, that's what is happening. See, even there's an answer. Too many forms. Okay, don't worship the form, worship the feet. Feet is the same, isn't it? If I show you a feet, can you tell me whose feet it is? No. But if I show you a face, you can tell me, this is Vishnu, this is Rama, this is Krishna, this is Shiva, this is... Show you the feet, you can't do that. So worship the feet. Padam ekam, darshanam ekam, devam ekam. Feet is one, vision is one, single, therefore God is also single, like that. Install that feet in your heart. Right here in the center, your Agnya Chakra, can you imagine 2 feet? Bhagavan's feet there. So every time you close your eyes, you're looking at his feet. Once Narada asked Narayana, again, talking about devotion, right? He says, in all my travels, right, sometimes I want to see you. I need your darshan. But I don't know where to look. I have to come back to Vaikuntha only. But where can I find you the moment I want to see you? You know what Vishnu said to him? Vishnu said, Mad Bhaktaha Yatra Gayantri Tatta Tishtami Narada. He said, wherever Yatra Gayanti Tatra Tishtami. That means he says, Narada, wherever my glory is sung, I will be present. And I'll connect this to the Ramayana with regards to Hanuman. Same thing. Wherever the name of Ram is mentioned, who is there first of all? First, before you can finish reciting the word Rama, Hanuman is already there present. Yatra yatra Raghunatha Kirthana tatra tatta kisamatta kanjalim. He's already said. Whenever the word Ram is mentioned, I am already there. That is the depth of bhakti. Full of compassion. Parabhakti. This is Parabhakti. So most of us, we can safely say we have Apara Bhakti, the lower levels of bhakti, right? The task is to move that level to a higher level, which is Parabhakti. Then yes. See, most of the time we are looking at, we are immersed in Archana, worship. In Navavidha Bhakti also I looked at that. One of the things is Archanam. But what we need is Arpitam, surrender. Move away from Archanam to Arpitam. Arpitam is greater than Archanam, right? And I will address Arpitam, surrender, or Tyaga, when I'm looking at faith and fear, not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, in a couple of weeks' time. I'll look at that, right? So, whether it's duty or devotion, remember, whether you're looking at a friend, or a foe, a brother, or a cousin, do not waste your time on what you can get from them. Focus on what they can get from you in your giving. Be amiable, be equal-minded towards all, treating all alike. Then you will truly be living the saying, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Modamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karani. So what's the way forward? Very good. Duty, discharge with love, without any expectation. But I'm doing a job of a doctor, okay. Do it well. Task is to save life. Do your best. Ramana Maharishi, have you done your best? Is there anything else that you could have done that you haven't done? Simple. Your 2, criteria for future. That's duty. Devotion, develop unconditional compassion for one and all. See God in everyone and in everything. And that's it. You will go from apara to para, from para to ragatmika. Finish. From someone who's listening to Meera, you can become Meera herself. So when I do Ramayana in a few weeks, all this will be coming back, right? Duty, devotion, the next week dharma, then the week after faith, fear, all that you will see will play a role when I'm discussing Ramayana, the essence of Ramayana. Again, I'm talking about the essence.